Hi, you look diminished in rank.
Sorry, what was that? We looked diminished in rank or in rank?
Diminished in rank.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Cool.
I just wanted to talk a little bit about, and I want to thank the people at the Ministry of Health for the great work that MedSafe's doing. For the second year in a row, they've dramatically reduced the time taken to consent new medicines. It was 330 days to consent a new medicine just a couple of years ago. Then they got it down to 275. Now they're down to 216. So, they've nearly taken a third off the time to consent a new medicine in the last 2 years. There's a whole lot more progress to come with that. I'm encouraging them to use AI. They've got to be on the technology frontier, and the government's bringing in its rule of two. So if something's been consented in 2 other countries, it's ready to go in New Zealand in 30 days. I think this will be very helpful for things like the questions around today about Trikafta for 2 to 5-year-old patients. That was only given consent in March of this year. Pharmac are now assessing it for funding, but the faster we can do the consenting and assessment processes, the faster we get to a decision about whether we can afford these things. And then the question is, can we put more money in to afford the medicines that people have overseas?
Last week you wouldn't say whether you agreed with the Prime Minister about whether Benjamin Netanyahu had lost the plot. Have you looked at his comments now, and do you have an opinion?
Look, I think basically those are his personal comments. I just take the view that when you're dealing with any other leader, unless it's someone like Vladimir Putin, then it's better just to keep your thoughts to yourself, which is what I do.
So
But I respect his right to express his opinion, as he said.
you wouldn't use those terms about Netanyahu?
Look, I don't think it helps. What we have is a world with a lot of pain, a lot of suffering. We want the conflict to end, and we want human rights to be upheld. And so I just say, it doesn't really help. If you're making fun of Kim Jong-un, then maybe, but I don't think it helps.
Israel had a pretty strong response to the Prime Minister's comments. What did you make of that?
Well, I think, again, once you get into a war of words, you're not really solving any problems. So I respect the right, his right to make a personal comment, which, now that I've looked at his comments, that was the context. But personally, I don't generally get into that.
Do you ever fall asleep in your car at the airport when you're waiting around?
Look, Bish has said that that's a very old photo, and I take his word for it. But look, Chris Bishop works hard, and we should maybe cut him some slack.
I mean, he says he still does it, has a 20-minute nap at the airport. Is that something you do?
Well, look, I don't do it myself, but I would say so long as Chris Bishop's car isn't moving, he can sleep as long as he likes.
Okay.
All right, thank you very much, folks. Thanks.